Is this thing on, man? Welcome to Obsessive Audio. I'm Eric, and welcome to the new look, the new idea for the channel. If you've watched the channel before, you saw that there were some plugins that we would demo, but no talking, no reviews, that sort of thing. And I thought this year that what I would do is expand the channel to include some talk about this stuff, and also get beyond plugins, perhaps some analog gear and mixing tips and tricks and secrets and that sort of thing. And the other idea was that I wanted to do it live without any editing. So that way I could just sit down, cut something very quick, and also with an eye to streaming and that sort of thing. So I've got the Starship Enterprise basically set up here. I've got my video switcher controls down here. I've got the video preview down there, and then I've got the screen with the actual plugins and stuff up there, and then of course the loyal audience right in the camera, which I have to remember to try and look at a little more. But if you see me looking around here, it's because this is the maiden voyage and there's a lot of stuff going on, and it's not because the guy is shifty, or, well, he is, but that's not why. Anyway, without further ado, what we're going to take a look today is a new plugin from Plugin Alliance made by Neold, a relatively new company. This is their second product. It's called Big Al. And Big Al is a saturator distortion / EQ plugin. Sounds fantastic. It's based on tube gear. It's one of a kind, unique. Why don't we go over to their website and see what we're talking about here. There we go. Neold Big Al. Unique harmonics, filter freak, onboard mods. Yeah, if you know who these designers are, they designed Phil's Cascade for Elysia some time back, and that was another one of a kind tube unit with an ion saturation and that sort of thing. So they did that. Last year they released Neold V76U73 based on the Telefunk and stuff, and I just found it a fantastic model. Not only is the saturation nice and the EQ and the curves and that sort of thing nice, but they're interactive. The bands and the distortion interact with each other. So if you have more distortion, that's going to affect the other parts in the circuit model. And the EQs will actually start to hit different frequencies depending on how much gain there is. So that's something I'm going to show you coming up here. Why don't we actually take a look at that now, too, while we're at it. See, I'm trying to make the switching quick here. Here's a graph of the EQ, and we're going to listen to some audio examples later, but when you first turn it on, this is what you get. There's a roll-off in the low end, and also in the high end. Considerable, too. Like, it doesn't start to flatten out till around 100, and it starts to drop off really slightly at 5K and stuff. It's basically got a warming effect that's going to help you control the subharmonics and any kind of really, piercing high end that you have. And let's take a look at the controls here quickly. We've got a drive control, which is your distortion and harmonics. Level, which is your output level. Low and high EQs. The EQs are based on Baxandal curves. And let's take a look at those right now. The low end seems to center around 100 hertz, and you can get quite a bit of boost up there if you see I'm getting 12 dBs, which when you're distorting, actually you can end up with a bit more, and we'll be seeing that in a bit. Here's the high end boost. It seems to be centered around 10 kilohertz, but as you go up in gain, that center kind of rises higher, like 12 to 15. You'll notice that peak is just sort of, it's reacting the way that a tube circuit does. And I'll show you what I mean now. Let's crank the lows up a bit, and we'll crank the highs up a bit. And now we're going to hit the main event here, which is the drive, the distortion. Watch how the whole shape, see how it's getting more scooped? And that's getting some serious scoop now as a result of that distortion. And then if I keep increasing it, that changes too. And then it starts to become like a high-end roll-off. And this is how the interaction works between the bands and the like the filters and the drive stage. And this is what the kind of behavior you're going to find from tube amps quite often from passive tube units. You can really play around with it, and just, you can see here, just getting all these different curves, and some are obviously more severe than others. And of course, when you're hitting the drive, this would be getting into some fairly distorted sounds as well. But let's reset that back to normal, and we'll go over these here, which are these jumper cables. The first jumper cable, I believe, is like a presence boost. And you can see what that did there. That gives you a bit more, starting maybe a 500-600, and it gives you all the way up into the high end. So that's what that does. B is a bass compress. And I haven't actually played with bass compress that much, but it actually seems to reduce the low end a bit. But I guess that's because it's probably ducking it down and compressing it. So maybe that's something to play with later. And then this Y is voltage sag. And that's like a sag effect where when it distorts on a transient or on a high level, the sound kind of sucks under for a little bit. Like guitar amps have that sag, and it does make a difference. It gives a bit of emotion to the sound. So that's kind of your basic controls and your frequency response. You also get a mix here, which is very useful. Mix control. And over here, you get a GUI size selection. You can go to normal, medium, or big, which is also helpful depending on what kind of screen you have. So let's take a quick look at the harmonics too while we're here. Get rid of that, and we'll put a tone generator and a frequency selector here. You can see here you've got actually your even and odd harmonics. You get 1 kHz to 2. There's your even order and your odd. And as you increase the gain, you're just going to get more and more harmonics. And when you're up here, this is a very distorted sound, as I'm sure you'll hear. And that activity at the bottom is the DC offset filter, which they have put in this unit, which is great. And it's obviously set quite low as to not reduce a lot of subs. So that's actually a good sign when you see a little bit of activity there, because once it stabilizes, you've got no DC, and it's not sucking out a lot of your very subharmonic low end. So that, I would say, probably covers the technical aspects of the plugin. Let's get into the sound here and hear on a few examples. First, I'm going to turn it off. And let's hear this beat, this loop. Let's just listen to it. Nothing on it right now. Now I'm going to activate what I dialed in. I'm just going to start playing with the controls here. A bit more low, high. Going to distort it more. Now you notice, let me go back to the beginning. And let me get you the screen here. Now take a look here at the transients. As I distort it more, it's actually taking the transients down rather than pushing everything up to a top limit. See that? As I ease off on it, those transients are coming back. And as I distort it more, getting less level. Ooh, which gives you more room to turn things up, right? Go back. Now, obviously, this is really shredding the sound right now. And it's probably a good opportunity to hear that sag control, that sag jumper. Listen to the low end. A little bit of extra motion. Whereas if I turn it off, just a bit more straight up distortion. That sort of brings everything to life there. We'll get a little bit more, more reasonable with the drive there. And let's listen to the presence boost here. It's actually kind of subtle. Off. On. And the bass compressed. Now this I didn't notice quite as much. I'm not sure why either. Let me really try to drive it and see what I can come up with a difference here. Off. Oh yeah. Hear that? Tons of bass. Put the compress on. So we're moving quite a bit, holding it back. Let's give it the works here. Let's put some of that bass back in though. And just really see what happens. There, that thing's shredding now. Barely recognizable. And we'll mix that out. The original sound. Mix. Anyway, very cool there. I thought you kind of get a sense of the type of distortion that you get and also the EQs, but let's move on to another example here. I've got a kick drum. It's also dialed in another sound here on it. That's with nothing on it. Dialed in. Let's listen to what the controls are doing here. Let's take it back to its normal state. Off. Even just turning it on in the default state does change the sound somewhat. Let's give it some more drive. Let's hear those EQs. Really tasty. Let's put the sag on. Off. Presence. Presence off. Back on. Now let's mix that down. Nothing. Start creeping in that distortion. So yeah, it's distortion, right? So it's not quite the same as a compressor, obviously. Might not always be what you want. In slight amounts, you're going to get quite a bit more level. You're going to get quite a bit more beef, and those tone controls are beautiful, as you heard. And then as you get more severe, you're going to hear that distortion more. Of course, you can slide the mix back a little bit in that case too, so you can preserve some of that original transient. But I'm just really liking what it did on drums and on electronic signals. Let's try it on a guitar, shall we? So that's off. Let's go to the plug-in. Let's hear what I dialed in. Serious volume jump there. Let's play with the low end. Really nice and warm. And this top end's up there. Maybe a bit too high in frequency for electric guitars. So maybe go easy on that. Maybe the presence would be, oh, that's on. Okay. What did the presence do? Let's turn it off. Oh, yeah. Let's go back. Let's try the bass compression. I could see that working in a mix real good. I had to compensate a little bit by adding some low down here. So without it, though, that builds up pretty fast without it. And the sag. Sag is nice. Yeah, I could try mixing some of that. Go back a little towards the original. Let's turn the whole thing off. Yeah, so, I mean, that's another good use for it. I tried it on vocals. I really liked what it did. If you go to the Plugin Alliance site, there are demos there on various instruments. I had a bit of electronic fun with it here. Let's see what we can do with the... I believe these are some electronic drums. Let's see what we've got. Yeah. Let's turn that on. Let's play around with those. Off, on, off, on. Just bringing everything forward in a really nice way, the way that good tube stuff can do. What can I say? I really love it. There we go. Let's get back to... Nope, I hit the wrong button. That's what I wanted to do. See? Still new at this. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. So a real quick look at it. This is the first day one of it coming out. If you follow my other channel, The Mixercist, Chris and I are going to be recording an episode on this tonight. It should be out next day or so. So check that out as well. That's Mixorcist, Mixorcist, the YouTube channel there. And this is Eric. This is Obsessive Audio. I hope you really enjoyed that. And now I'm going to cue up the outro screen, and we will see you later.